Hello and welcome to the demonstration for the CJ Pro sign and label system. My name's John. I look after the UK sales function for Lighthouse and for Max. I'm with James today. He's going to go through the software, how the system works in a little bit more detail, so we can go through first of all applications for the printer, and then we can go into a little bit more detail on how the system actually works later on. So CJ Pro is our entry level system. The system works a maximum 100mm wide material. For the system we do different widths of material, so we do 50mm, 30mm, 15mm wide vinyl, and it has guillotine cut which chops it off to any length up to 1.2 meters. So the CJ Pro is thermal transfer printer, so it uses resin ribbon to create the actual colour. We class it as effectively like a two-colour printer. So you've got the colour of the vinyl, and then you've got the colour of the ribbon. So effectively you can change those colours to whatever you want, and then it prints on. So thermal transfer printer, so it means it's durable labels. So the main material that we supply for it is vinyl. If you were looking at things like packaging labels, we do have paper die cuts as well, but the main material that we supply is vinyl for the system. So what I'll do is, if we zoom into these boards, I can go through some of the applications for the printer. So the main application that the majority of our customers use the system for is racking labels. So you can see a few examples on here. So it depends on the width of your rack, how far you want it to go up. Obviously here you've got aisle number, so that would effectively sit on the uprights. So you can obviously change it within the software. The good thing with the software is it's flexible, so you can manually type the number in. So if it's just a one-off label, or if you're trying to do a set of these, you can do like a sequential number, or you can link it to an external source, so something like an Excel spreadsheet where you can bring data in, and obviously it will change it there for you. So you've got some other examples here. Obviously supply different colours of vinyl, so sometimes some of our customers want to put it in different sections. So they may have a particular customer or a particular section they want in yellow, for example. They might want a different section in a different colour, so it just denotes where a certain product or where a certain palette or whatever it is goes to. So you can change it in the warehouse. So the great thing with this system is it gives you the flexibility to produce labels as and when you need it. So it might be doing a whole warehouse racking project, so you can do it in stages, so you're not having to buy all the labels in. If there is a mistake with them, then you're having to go back to the sign company. You can do it bit by bit, just make sure all the labelling's right. Or if you get midway through the project and you want to make some changes to it, you haven't purchased all those labels, and then you're having to go through it again and purchase a load more. So it means it's just, you can produce them as and when. It's a lot leaner way of producing your labels as well. So yeah, let's say you've got some examples on here, some of the thinner labels. Obviously they, perhaps smaller stores, you can actually stick these on, tote boxes, or on a pallet. So it depends how far you want to go with it. So yeah, it just gives you an idea, sort of the racking. You've got the barcode on there as well. So majority of the different barcode types we have it built into the software. So your standard code 128, code 39. We do have QR codes, data matrix codes as well. So it all depends on how you run sort of the warehouse. Or if you are looking to put these on products, if it's a simple product label, but it needs to be durable, it needs to be long lasting, you can use this system for as well. So it has a guillotine cut at the front, so you put whatever width material in, then you can denote the length, change the length of the different size label. On the back here, so some of our customers do use it for sort of basic health and safety as well. So the main application might be racking labels, but they may well have some of this kind of signage around. So generally people have these on doors, so entry to the warehouse, or they might have sort of standard fire exit signs, that kind of thing. We do have photoluminescent material for this system, so glow in the dark material we supply. So if it is warehouse or a building with no external light, then obviously you can have photoluminescent material. the different symbols, they're all built into our software. So there's over sort of 3,000 different symbols that you can drag and drop into the software and onto the label file. And the wording, you can make it bespoke, make it site specific. So that's what makes it a little bit different again to bring it in or buying in signage. So if you take one of these as an example, so each one of these is just under 70 pence. So you can see sort of the price and cost saving. If you look at a warning label or a warning sign like that, you're probably looking upwards of sort of £5 to buy in. If it's bespoke, the price goes up and obviously the lead time goes up as well. But if you're looking at a full board like this, we do supply Foamex, PVC boards, so you can put it onto a backing board. But a full board like this, I mean, we can work it out. So you're looking sort of probably £4 to £5 for the vinyl, perhaps £2 for the board. So it gives you a good idea of the cost saving. Again, a board like this, you're probably looking £30 upwards. And if you want to make changes as and when, it may be just one strip you want to take off or you want to stick another label over the top, it gives you the flexibility to do that. So yeah, like I say, it just gives you an example of some of the other applications you can use it for. Going sort of on from that, if it's maintenance team, you've got things like lockout procedures. You can use it for pat test labels. If you need a more durable pat test label than just like a paper label, again, you can put the information on. It saves you having to handwrite it in. You know, it's a proper printed label where people might not be able to tell if it's handwritten. They don't know what it actually says. Depends on someone's handwriting. Simple schematics, so line drawings you can put into the software as well. So whether it's an electrical panel, electrical drawing, that kind of thing, you can drop into the software. And again, it's a durable label, it's going to last. You can stick it on the outside of a machine. So if it's a simple operator procedure, you can put that on and you know it's going to last. It's not a laminated sheet. And again, you don't need to go back to your desk to, you know, this process improvement basically saves you the time going back to your desk to try and find that drawing. Again, sort of basic product labels, you know, serial plates, that kind of thing you can produce off the system as well. So it's, you know, it's quite a flexible product with the software. Things like visual management as well. So again, around warehouse production, you may well have shadow boards. So this has been created black print onto a clear vinyl, so you can actually see the actual tool there and just stick it onto a Foamex or a PVC board. So you can get more detailed than this. We've just put the tool shapes on there. Again, these are all built into the software, but you could put weights on here. If you wanted to put a barcode or a tool number, again, you can put that on and then you can actually label the tool as well, just so you know it's going to go back to the right place. Just make sure you know where everything is. Again, sort of visual management board like this, you're looking probably cost-wise sort of £5–6 to buy something like that in. You're probably looking anywhere sort of £50 to £100 from a sign shop. And again, if you want to make any changes to it afterwards, you've got to go back to the sign company, buy a whole board. Whereas with this, you can just take the labels off and then you can reapply another label on there. So I hope that gives you an idea of some of the applications and some of the cost savings. In regards to sort of the system itself, system's 995. Generally, with majority of our printers, people can sort of have payback period, usually sort of 1 to 2 years. So it depends on how much sort of signage or labelling that you get through, and what particular projects you've got on. But generally, there is sort of quite a big cost saving and justification for the printer. So if I quickly show you before I pass over to James, just sort of what the printer actually sort of looks like and internal bits of it. So it's pretty simple, straightforward printer, and that's what I really like about it. It's, you know, it's quick at printing, so it prints at 100 per second or up to 100 per second, depending on what you're looking to print. And it's simple, just guillotines the label. So it's, you know, it's really simple printer to use. So if you open up the hatch, the vinyl roll sits on the back, so it sits on a little spindle at the back, and then you've got the ribbon here. So if I just unclick that, under this ribbon is a print head. So when the vinyl feeds through this cutter, the print head physically burns the ribbon onto the face of the vinyl there, and then let's say you've got a guillotine cut at the end, just chops off the set of label or the actual label on there. So if we click this back down, simple, the ribbon just feeds through that way, On the front here, you've just got a manual feed key, so just make sure that the material feeds through there. So you've got that, and then side simple on-off switch on this side, sorry, and then just connected by USB and power at the back there. So what I'll do is I'll pass over to James, and he can go through the software with you.
Hi guys, I'm James. So I'm just going to take you through, as John said, a quick racking label that you can create in the CJ Pro software. So first things first, if we go to File and New, I'm just going to select that one. Don't worry about the two different ones. I've just got two different CJ Pro drivers on my computer. Click Finish. Right, so first of all, we're going to want to adjust the size of our label. You've got a 300 by 100 label on here at the minute, but you are more than likely going to want to change that. So if I just double click on the outside of the label, this is just like the screen you saw at the beginning. Paper layout, portrait or landscape. For this purpose, I am going to change it to portrait. Go to dimensions. So here we're going to actually specify the width and the height of the label. So I'm going to change the height, not too much actually, to about 250 for this label. The margins are currently all set to 0, that's fine. They should automatically set to that and adjust if necessary. So radius, that is just a visual reference on the label, so you might be able to see on the corners here there is a slight little radius, but that is just a visual aspect. So it's entirely up to you if you want to keep that or not. I personally don't, so I'm just going to change it. Labels across I'm not going to worry about for now. Right, so first things first, when creating the label, we want to go over to the left hand side here where you have your toolbar. Each of them kind of do what they say on the tin really, so text is text, curve text, so on and so forth. So if you start off by adding some text, it will look quite small at the minute, but we can make it bigger in a second. So if I put on number, make that a bit bigger. And along the top here you have obviously your font styles and things like that, your text decorations, and then your alignment. So I'm just going to line it in the centre and make it bold. Now to align this to the label, if you right click and go to align, we don't want, depending on what you've used or whether you have used this before, it will depend on what it's actually currently set to. I've used this before and used those settings, which is why it has remembered it. But for this purpose I'm going to just take the vertical alignment off and just keep the horizontal there. Make sure align to labels ticked. So it moves slightly. It wasn't too badly misaligned, but it is nicely aligned now. So just put a nice little line in there just to give it some division. Make it a bit wider. And again, right click, align. It's remembering what I just used, and that's what I'd like to do again. Like that, lovely. And then we're going to add a sequential number with a prefix. So it's often the case of racking that instead of designing one label after another, printing after one after another, you can set up what you call a sequential number, which is say if you've got racks 1 to 10 in a very simple scenario, and you print 10 labels, it will go from 001 or 01 to 10 for you without having to press print 10 times or redesigning it 10 times. You can also link to a database connection. So the idea of a sequential number through the software is if it's got a set sequence, so you can set it whether it's going up in 2s, 3s, 5s, 10s, it doesn't matter. Whereas a database connection, you'd want to use that if you're inputting random data. So serial numbers, for example, they can be random, but they can go in a certain order. But more often than not, it is a random order. So there's no sequence, or the software wouldn't be able to calculate a set sequence because it is just separate pieces of data. So you can put that in as well. We are just going to keep it simple with a sequential number today. So the way you do that, is if you go to data at the top, you go to variables. You can use the wizard, or you can just go straight in for just creating a new one. I'm going to just go for the new this time. I'm going to give it a name, so I'm just going to call it, not very imaginative I know, but I'm just going to call it Isle. Description you won't have to worry about unless you've got quite a few on your label, in which you kind of want to remind yourself which one's what. Prompt, that's fine, that just means it's going to prompt us at the end of printing for what variable or what number we want to put in. Maximum length, I'm just going to keep that at 2 for now because we don't want it to be too long for now. That is excluding a prefix as well, so when we put a prefix in, it will technically be 3 characters long, but we're only going to be physically inputting 2, that will become apparent later. So if I go to serialization, we want to use an incremental counter, and we want to keep it as numeric format for the minute. You've got quite a few different options, like alphanumeric and things like that, but I'm just looking for a number at the minute. Step, that means if you want to go up in certain values, so you'll be able to see the preview actually changes down the bottom here, and then change the value after the number of labels is literally kind of making a copy of the label. So if you want to print 3 of the same, then move on to the second variable, and so on and so forth. Again, I just want to keep it to the 1 for now. Change that back. So if you go to data processing, prefix and suffix, so a certain character before and then suffix a certain character after. I'm just going to put L. Again, whatever you like, you can put whatever you like in there. You can put a few kind of multiple letters as well, but just for the purpose of this, I'm going to put L. Suffix I don't want to worry about, and then pad character you won't have to worry about that just for this label. Prompting. So this is when you actually go to print, the software can remind you that you need to enter a certain value. So if I just put enter IO number at the start of printing, it should default to that, but that is usually the best one to do, because it's quite self-explanatory in the sense that if you tick every, it will prompt you for every label, which from experience that can be quite a fun one when I've done that with 10 labels and you have to click it 10 times. So just click at the start of printing, that's usually the best. And then that should be it, you're ready to go. You can put a default value in if you like. It's entirely up to you. That just means it's going to default to that whenever you actually create the label. So just to show you, to be fair, I'll go 02. Okay, it's appeared there now, so you can see that is kind of the default value that it will set to unless we change it. When you actually come to print, it will give you a default value, but again, you can change that. So we'll go to close. So up here now, if we go to the drop down arrow next to text, use existing variable, and then that's the name we gave the variable. So again, quite small at the minute, and you probably notice it's not stacking what we call vertically. So to change that, if you double click on it and go to style and just simply click stack text and OK, so that stacks it vertically for us. So to make that a little bit bigger, make it bold, and if we want to align it to the center, we can do so by aligning like that, or if you want to align objects together, simply choose an object you want to first align to. So that line we know is perfectly aligned to the center. So if you select that, hold down the shift key, and then along the top you have an alignment toolbar, and you'll be able to kind of work out where it's going to align to. So I'd like that on there, so center, and as you can see, it moved it over. And finally, with racking labels, it's quite common to use a barcode. And the clever thing with the software is you can actually integrate the variable into the barcode as well. So we've just made, this is the variable here. If I go to barcode and go to the drop down arrow just like we did with text, go to use existing variable and IL, which is the name we gave it, you can see it's inputted the barcode nicely for us. So you may want to change the barcode symbology, so if I just make that a little bit bigger, you can simply double click on it, go to barcode at the top and select whichever one you want. I'm just going to keep it as code 128 for now. If you want to define some kind of more intricate options like the human readable element, which is that bit of text underneath it, if you click on define Just give it a second. There we go. So on the right hand side here, you can see you have a representation of what it will look like. Obviously the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is not the actual data, it's just giving you a preview of what it will look like with your data. Down here, if you want the human readable element to be centered in the middle, just tick print barcode as a graphic, like that. And once that's ticked and once it's processed it, it will align it in the center for you. If you go to human readable at the top here, you can choose to actually remove the bit of text underneath it altogether. So sometimes when you're doing this, it might take a little bit of time just because it's creating it and it's kind of processing the barcode. So as you can see there, it says no interpretation below barcode or above. Just for this purpose, I'm going to click no interpretation because it's quite obvious what the barcode is for on this one. So yeah, if I click no interpretation like that, I go to OK. And OK again. There we go. So now the last thing to do is maybe just to resize this slightly. You may notice it's kind of jumping or snapping to a certain size. That is simply because it has to be a set size. So these columns have to be a certain width apart in order for the data to be understood by the reader. So that's a nice size. So the last thing I want to do is align it to this bit of text here. So if I go select that, hold down Shift and select the barcode and select the center. And as you can see, it was actually already aligned, which is quite good. And there we go. The last thing to do is actually to set something to print. So if I go to File and Print, you'll see here, so enter aisle number, that is a default, that is the bit of text we asked it to prompt us with. The default value we set earlier was 02, so that's why it's put in there. But you can change it, say 50 or 45, whichever you like. Let's go 45. And then the idea of this, when you actually print more than one label, so here, say if you printed 2 labels, because we've set the variable up to increase 1 every time, the first label would print L45 and then the second label L46 and so on and so forth. So if I just print 1 label, let's process that and just change the camera over so you can see. There we go. So that's the first one done. So if I were to send another one to print now, but send say 2 in a go, it would go 45, 46, and so on and so forth. And yeah, that's how you create a very basic label with a sequential number. I'll pass you back over to John now to take you through an extra couple of bits. Thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us for the demonstration for the CJ Pro printer. Just a quick few details about the printer. The system itself is 995. Just got VAT on top of that. That includes multi-license software, so you can load it on as many PCs as you want. You get 2 to 3 hours training on site with the system, so we go through how the software works, how the printer works on site, generally for sort of three to 4 people. But as you've seen, the software is fairly simple, so once you've had the training, effectively you can teach other people on how to use it. Then after that, you get 12-month support as part of the package. So if you've got any questions about the software after the training, if you've forgotten any little bits, you can give us a call. We can go through that with you. We also have some online tutorials as well, just so in case you wanted to go over any bits that you were unsure of. So we'll do everything we can to support you after the initial training period. In regards to sort of material, rolls of vinyl, so just give you an idea, so we do the rolls of vinyl, like I mentioned before, 100mm, 50mm, 30mm, 15mm. Well, if we take the 100mm material, works out, it's just over £2 a metre for the vinyl. The actual ribbon works out, it's 20 pence per metre for the ribbon. So it just shows how much material you can get for the actual price. So if you're doing things like racking labels, that kind of thing, so they're going to be shorter than that, but that just gives you an idea of sort of the cost of the material ongoing. Well, I say thanks again for joining us. If you need any more information at all, feel free to visit our website, lighthouseuk.com. And also we've got the contact details on there. So if you did want an an on-site demonstration of the printer, we can arrange that. We can go through it in a bit more detail. Thanks again.